with our Creator, who in turn then strengthens us for the work of which he has assigned to our hands. Prayer also empowers us to be able to overcome those temptations which are an everyday part of life that are designed to cause us to deviate from the work and obedience to God. Prayer is not just about asking God for blessings, although we are welcome to do that, but it is communication with the living God. And all of us in here know that without communication, relationships cannot be established. And the relationships that are established will fall apart. And we know that Jesus came to this earth with the express intention and purpose of bridging the relationship, mankind's relationship with God. But when we fail to communicate with God through prayer, our relationship with him suffers, and it too eventually falls apart. This is why people that we have an adversary who does everything that he can to obstruct our way from the mercy seat, so that our relationship with God will suffer, and we cannot be granted the grace and the power that we need to resist those temptations that he places in our path. Y'all still with me? This adversary here, you all, that I'm talking about, doesn't really care about many of our other spiritual activities. Yeah, as long as he can keep us from communicating with God. You can go to church 7 days a week. Just don't pray. Yes, just don't pray. You can visit the sick and you can visit those in prison and in jail as long as you don't pray. You can go to Bible study. You can go to Bible college, workshops, and conferences just as long as you don't pray. You can volunteer at the homeless shelter. Yes, the boys and girls shelter, battered women's shelter, shelter, storm shelters, or any other shelter. Just as long as you don't pray. Just as long as you don't pray. And that's because the last thing that this adversary wants is for us to have a relationship with God. The one that is built and established by prayer. In fact, if you would ask any Christian who's struggling with some sort of stronghold, or who is in a backslidden state, or who has become unproductive in their Christian service, they tell you that their first notable decline was in their spiritual activity, was their prayer life. First thing they notice missing. But the writer of this text here still instructs us, and he invites us to pray. And isn't it good, people, to know that we have access unto this grace by faith, that there is a God that we can approach, a God who is never too busy or too overloaded with things that he cannot hear us and stop by and see about our needs. Isn't it good to know that we got a God like that? Yes. That's right. If you're a child of the King, you have 24-hour access to a God where there will be no scheduling conflicts, no emergency that can come up that will preoccupy him. A God that you don't have to be in a certain income bracket, or in a certain class of people, or live in a certain neighborhood, or belong to a certain church, or any other requirements to be graced with his presence, because he is just one prayer call away. Yeah, he's just one away. But there are still, I'm about to finish, some keys to answer prayer. Which means that prayer cannot be haphazard or half-heartedly. And prayer must be done out of a sincere heart. It must be done also in line with the scripture. And it also must be done with a proper attitude. And so the first key that I want to share with you all this evening to answer prayer is that prayer must be persistent. Meaning that it must be done in spite of the difficulty, the opposition, or whether we're fatigued or tired or not. We've got to continue to pray. Jesus said that a man should always pray and not faint, because he knew that we sometimes give up too quickly, and he wants us to be persistent in prayer. Yes. Like the widow in Luke. who was persistent with the unjust judge until he avenged her. Like Daniel that prayed for 21 days until Gabriel showed up. Like Hezekiah who prayed until he was given 15 more years. Or Hannah who prayed until God opened up her womb. Paul kept praying until the thorn was removed, until he got his answer that God told him that my grace is sufficient for you because my strength is made perfect in weakness. Jesus kept on praying about his cup. So we too must be persistent in prayer. Secondly, we got to be patient in prayer. Realizing that God does not operate on our timetable, but he operates in timing. Which means he knows exactly the right time to answer your prayer. He knows when you've had enough. He knows when you've learned enough. He also knows if you actually need for that thing that you've been asking him for. All right. That's why Isaiah said, and therefore will the Lord wait, that he may be gracious unto you. And therefore when he be exalted, that he may have mercy upon you. For the Lord is a God of judgment, and blessed are all they that wait for him. Now those that I mentioned before that were persistent in prayer also had to be patient in prayer. But the real good news from glory this evening is that if you keep being persistent in prayer and patient in prayer, you will receive the product of prayer. Somebody in here know this evening what I'm talking about. Because the reason why you didn't lose your mind or go all the way under when that joker or that jokette walked out on you is because it was the product of prayer. The reason why your son and daughter is not still strung out on dope is because it was the product of prayer. The reason why you got that promotion that you were unqualified for, it was the product of prayer. The reason you got that bank loan that your credit score didn't agree with, it was the product of prayer. The reason why the city on our knees has been such a great success and impacted so many people is because it is the product of prayer. You need to just keep being persistent and keep being patient in prayer because the product is on the way. All right. Keep being persistent and keep being patient because the product is on the way. God bless you and God keep you.
Now that is one preaching machine right there. And I promise y'all just got a little dose of what he can really do. Am I lying? Of course, we ain't gonna say that. Now we're going to start with our prayer topics. And I don't know how you guys are familiar with praying. Some of you guys may feel comfortable seated. Some of you may want to kneel while you pray. Or some of you guys may walk while you pray. It doesn't matter as long as we pray. But I want to open up the